Everyone has a personal brand, by design or by default. Lida Citroen. On last week's episode 125, we discussed intellectual property protection when it comes to the metaverse and Web3. Today, we're going to take a step back and talk about IP protection in the real world. This episode is for everyone because whether you have a business or not, you do have a personal brand. So let's jump in and talk about how to protect it all. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This episode is brought to you by Trifecta Group Coaching. Trifecta Group Coaching is a new business partnership that I'm in with two fabulous ladies, Kelly Lanes and Monica Van Landingham. Focusing on business strategy with myself, marketing strategy with Kelly, and social media growth and engagement with Monica, we are here to intentionally propel your business forward. And we are doing this with our Trifecta Toolbox. This toolbox provides you with an overall business checklist, email subject lines that deliver a step-by-step email launch strategy, which is so important whenever you're doing a new product or a new service, and social media templates that we teach you how to make your own so you're showing up confidently and as a thought leader on your social media page. Each area includes video trainings as well. So grab the Trifecta Toolbox. You can go to trifectagroupcoaching.com/shop. That's SHOP. Trifectagroupcoaching/shop. I am so excited today to bring you an interview with a college friend, sorority sister, and just a strong and powerful woman that I truly feel blessed to know. Dorna Taylor, attorney at law, has been an attorney for over 24 years. She is a mom of two and has had the opportunity to be the senior vice president of legal and business affairs of Dr. J Enterprises and served as general counsel for NBA Hall of Famer Julius Dr. J. Erving. Recently signing sportscaster Marie Taylor, Dorna continues to serve her clients both big and small, whether you are a startup who is about to formalize your business, a creator who needs help in protecting your work, or if you are seeking help with your financial troubles. Dorna and I had some small tech glitches during our conversation, so apologies for that. However, Dorna provides us with some invaluable information that I just had to share. Take a listen to my conversation with Dorna Taylor. Dorna, thank you so much for joining me on the Become Your Own Boss podcast today. I'm so excited for our conversation.
I'm excited to be with you.
Thank you so much for being with me. You have the topic of all topics because I get so many small business owners, people just getting started that wants to know all the things about trademarks and copyrights and what should I do and what shouldn't I do. But before we jump into that piece of it, what made you decide to be an attorney?
Oh, wow. That goes back a ways. I was a 10th grader and my goal was to become a television news broadcaster or TV producer. And my aunt graduated from University of Georgia, and she was working in television news and making about $20,000 a year. So I quickly realized that was not going to be for me. So my social studies teacher, Mr. Grady Yancey, shout out to Mr. Yancey, asked me to join the mock trial team. I did. I loved it. We won state and I was hooked. So from the 10th grade, I knew I wanted to become a lawyer.
Wow. As long as I've known you, I did not know that about you.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I know you graduated from the University of Georgia. You went on to law school. Now, did you jump right into working for a firm first, or did you kind of go off on your own? What was your path?
I went right into a firm. I went to law school another fun fact that you won't know, in 2 years. Because at that time, at the school that I attended, you could go in the summers. I went both summers and completed my degree in 2 years. So I was already working what would have been the last year of my law school career. By the time I actually marched to the stage, I had already taken the bar, passed the bar, and been working for like 6 months. I went to a small firm. I never really aspired to big law and the billable hour concept. So I went to a firm in downtown Atlanta, and they gave me my first opportunity. And I worked for 3 firms before I went out on my own.
Okay. What made you decide to venture out into your own path?
Life. So I had a baby, and while I was out on maternity leave, the firm I worked for closed.
Wow.
And all the skills that I had been preparing and learning and planning to use on my own, I had to jump right in and start using them just about 18 years ago.
18 years ago. I can't believe she's about to be 18, but okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
She's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I know one of your specialties is around the copyright and trademark area. Can you first just tell people the difference between a copyright and a trademark?
Yes. So a copyright will protect a written work, a literary work, a song, something that's tangible, so to speak. A trademark is for phrases, taglines, logos, words, something visual. People sometimes need both, but that's kind of the simple way to describe the difference. So if you have a book, a song, sound, those can be copywritten. If you have a word or a cute logo or symbol or even the font of the way your business name is written, all of that is trademark. And then there's a third aspect called patents, which I don't do. They actually require a separate bar exam, and that's for the mechanical workings of something. So if you've got we just call them widgets in the industry, a widget that does something, the mechanism for how that works is a patent. So the United States Patent and Trademark Office governs all of those.
Okay. I did not realize that was a separate bar exam.
Yeah, that's why I don't do them.
You're like, you weren't taking another one. I got you. What do you recommend for small business owners as far as their copyrights or trademarks go? Should they go it on their own and try it? Or, how do you even know which one is the right one for you?
Right. Well, of course, I don't recommend they go it on their own. It is possible to file your own, but the process is so lengthy, and I'm sure you'll get into that shortly, that if you make a mistake and need to then go back and hire, you've lost possibly years. And I really recommend that people, it's not super expensive typically, that people keep that budget aside for protecting what's called intellectual property in the beginning of their business, if possible. You'll know you need a copyright mark again if you've written a song, you've written a poem, you've written a book, you've done a piece of artwork, something that you can, hold in your hand or hear. You'll know you need a copyright, and you'll know you need a trademark if it's your business name that you've been pouring your heart into to develop, or your name in some instances. If you're a brand that your name is something that you are operating under and creating brand value in, then you'll know you need a trademark. And if you get a lawyer, we'll certainly be able to tell you which one. You do need to make sure that the lawyer has experience in copyrights, trademarks, early patents, because it's not a difficult process for us, but it's not a common practice for a lot of attorneys. You don't want to hire somebody that's going to be learning on the job, so to speak.
Right. So you don't want to hire that accident injury lawyer to do your copyright and trademark.
Or she may not really be equipped to help you with your copyright.
Right. Gotcha. Let's talk about costs a little bit, because I do think it's important. We set aside money to start our business or to market our business. What's a budget that we should set aside for taking care of those intellectual property things within our business?
Right. So I would say including the actual generation of your logo, because a lot of people don't really come in the door with one. So you want to put one, or if you've already had one and your copyright attorney may say, I see some similarity to an existing copyright, you're going to need to adjust that. So you need to have some some budget for, your graphic design, right? Which I would say would be $1,200 to $1,500, I guess. And super high end, I think. And then the trademark itself, they charge $250 per class. So most people will be in one or two classes. So you'd need to set aside about $250 to $500 for that. And then the attorney's fees I've seen range from $1,000 to $2,500 to $3,000 again. Okay. So this could, on the low, with your logo, your filing fees, and your attorney, could be about $1,500 on the high end, $1,000.
Okay.
And it depends on the complexity of your logo, obviously, and on what the attorney hire charges. But the range for the fees that you should be looking for should be between $1,000 and $2,500.
Gotcha. Well, and I do think that it's very important that we protect those things because, like you mentioned, you've put your heart and soul and you've been working on it, and it's very important to protect those. Thank you for sharing that. So go ahead and set that little budget aside as you're growing your business to take care of the intellectual property pieces as well. Let's talk about you as an entrepreneur, because I know that you have your own firm and you're doing a lot. I follow you on Facebook, so I get to see all the goods. Tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now and how people can utilize your services.
Okay. Well, I am working on several things, as you've mentioned. One of them is I have a passion for making sure that small business and new business owners do understand the importance of structuring their business properly from the get-go if possible. Or if we need to go back and fix things, that's fine too. But I do have a passion for trademarks, that area, and for educating people and getting people protected. So that's a big part of my practice. And that is kind of what I do, just almost as a give back, if so, so to speak. Then the practice is over in the sports and entertainment arena. I represent a nationally known sports broadcaster. I'm a brand manager. And in that, it's a lot of moving parts. She's, on television weekly, if not twice a week. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of brand value there. So kind of what I handle the beginnings of some people's brands. And then I love taking these brands and creating or magnifying rather that brand value that they've been building for, could be years, could be decades. I previously worked for 12 years for Julius, Dr. J. Erving, as his senior VP of business and legal affairs and brand manager. And that was a brand, obviously, that was building brand value before I was even born.
Yeah, he's been around a minute.
Iconic brand that has so much white space, right? Because in those days, there wasn't as much emphasis on brand and marketing. It was, do a commercial, get a check, that's it. And they just collect that, whatever if people went out and bought Crest because you advertised it, then that was great. But you didn't really get any ownership in Crest or any shares necessarily. That brand was really fun to work on. We were all over the world several times, just, developing that. And I've taken that same passion, like I said, into new entrepreneurs, because if you don't anticipate that your brand can go to that level, it probably won't. But if you plan for it to go to that level, you'll have everything when that time comes. So my practice is those two things. And in the middle, there's a lot of things I just do as passion projects if I enjoy them. I have people that bring me scripts and bring me show ideas and bring me songs and all kinds of things to see if I'm interested in being involved. And I do if I am.
That's amazing. And okay, so you mentioned brand. And I think right now, especially, branding is so key, not only just for products. You mentioned Crest or Colgate or like product branding, but so much now rides on personal branding. Even if you may not be the Julius Ervings of the world, but you as a small business owner may be the face of your brand. What type of protections or what types of things should we possibly be looking at when it comes to our personal brand?
Oh, that's such a good question, because really, believe it or not, we are all our own personal brand, especially if you're a business owner. Obviously the things that will be in a contract, if you get to that point, which are going to be moral turpitude type clauses. I'm going to get a little lawyerly on you right here, Monica. That's okay.
It's fine.
Clauses that used to be in every contract, but now they're so valuable because with social media, you might think you're out on a Saturday night, but really your whole brand is out on a Saturday night. And what you do could reflect on your contractual relationships. If you're, out publicly drunk or DUI or just any number of things that we can do by mistake or by being, careless can affect your brand. So that's the downside, right? That's the negative part, having a personal brand where you are the face of it. But it also is a challenge to make sure you, represent yourself and your brand in the most positive light at all times. The positive thing about having you be your personal brand is that you get to control it. What you are, it is what you say it is. On social media, often that's maybe something that people have kind of created and they're waiting to see if their life will actually be what they've demonstrated it to be on social media. But you also can protect your name, image, and likeness in the same way that you can protect your other intellectual property. So now we're hearing a lot, of course, about college athletes being able to utilize their name, image, and likeness is sometimes just referred to as nil, and completely viable way to make a significant income with your personal brand by licensing your name, image, and likeness. And we see celebrities do this. I don't want to use this particular celebrity's name, but so-and-so really does ride a Peloton every day, or so-and-so really does drive a Buick. And we're really just seeing a brand deal before us.
Interesting. I think it's interesting to me from, kind of the small influencer world also, because, and I really just thought about it when you were talking about branding. Of course, you see it with celebrities, but even these smaller influencers are getting brand deals and things like that. And then sometimes, like you said, there's that mistake that, oops, and then you've lost that brand deal. What can we do maybe I should ask this. Should some of those small influencers, I don't consider myself one, but I do know and follow some people who have, maybe 500,000 followers or something. Should they have an attorney that's looking over these contracts? Because I feel like they probably are just so excited to get the deal. They're probably just signing them. But what are your thoughts around that?
Yes, absolutely. And not necessarily because they can't understand what the contract says, which they can, but they may be selling themselves short because they don't know the industry well enough to know what they should be charging. I had the pleasure of talking with Tabitha Brown a couple of weeks ago, and she's one of the best examples of an online influencer who just blew up and now has shows on Food Network and clothes in Target and any number of things going on tour. And she was telling the story that with her first YouTube influencer deal, she didn't know what to charge. She called around. Nobody around her knew. Nobody that was doing influencer work would return her call. And so she ended up doing a major brand deal for $500 because the person she called said, I don't know, $500.
Wow.
And it was a major grocery store for a year, $100. I definitely feel like, I put it this way, you don't know what you don't know. So even if you're just calling someone out, what are people typically getting in this area? I don't need to hire you. I can understand the contract, but I need to know and, pay for their time. But ask them for at least 30 minutes or an hour of their time just to flesh out what they know about the industry standard on the revenue, because they're going to just offer you something small, or they're going to say, well, what would you require? And you're going to have to quote your fee. You're going to need to know. That's the main area that I see people make mistakes by not, having someone in the industry that knows what the deals have been looking like lately and what they're able to get. And so if you don't get an attorney for a reason, that's the reason I'd recommend that you get an attorney or agent or someone who has experience in these areas to be able to tell you what the contracts are looking like these days, because it changes so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about the changes that's happening. And right now, everything's more expensive. There's that.
Right. But what happened to all of us in the past 2 years is almost 95, I would say, % of the influence has gone to your phones and your social media, because appearances went away for a while, right? So if a company wanted to get in front of an audience, they normally could be the official car of the NBA, but there weren't any NBA games, or they could, run commercials during sporting events where millions of people would be watching, but there weren't any. So they took all that money and directed it into social media, because when this COVID pandemic started, we just all were in our houses on the phone and computer and YouTube trying to connect, which is how you see someone like D, right? D Nice just went from his Instagram live to major corporations inside of 2 or 3 days of his first broadcast that drew over 100,000 people. Here comes major corporations wanting him to take over their handle because he's got 100,000 people and we don't have anywhere else to get our product in front of 100,000 eyes right now with everything being shut down. So it's become very important. Influencers on social media need to recognize that they are as important as a commercial actor because the audiences are here. They're not really watching television with commercials.
Yes, that's very true. I can't tell you the last time I saw a commercial on TV.
Correct. Fast forward through them now.
Yes.
If you're terrestrial television or satellite, typically we're streaming our content and there just aren't commercials. The companies are ready and are putting money into, small and large and celebrity influencers because that's where the eyeballs are. They go where the eyeballs are.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. I tell you, I was just telling Ethan earlier today that I swear Instagram knows me so well. It's ridiculous. They know, they anticipate what I'm going to want.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, yes, I do want that micro antibacterial sponge thing. I do want that, so it's amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing.
Scary, but definitely amazing.
Yes. Yeah, a little scary too, for sure. Well, Dorna, tell people how they can contact you for your services. Should they need trademarks, representation, if they're an influencer or celebrity, how can they reach you?
Yes, the best way to reach me is my website, which is www.dornataylor.com. And Dorna is spelled D-O-R-N-A. So dornataylor.com. That's really the best way to reach me. There's a contact thing there that you can just send me a note real quick and it'll come right to me and my staff. Obviously, the phone number is there as well. Best way. I also am on social media. I don't market on social media much, to be honest. I'm not really marketing at all, honestly. It's mostly just my kids and food and travel on my social media.
Yes.
But you're welcome to follow me. I do have a business Facebook, which is at Dorna Taylor Law, and people can follow the business there, where we do talk about trademarks and copyrights. And I bring news stories to the page where when copyright issues are in the news or there's something that we can all learn from about copyright or trademark, I put those there.
Okay. I don't think I follow that. I need to follow that for sure. I have to do that. And so one of my favorite questions that I do like to ask people that are entrepreneurs is, what has been one of your biggest challenges being an entrepreneur?
Time management.
Okay.
Time management. And that's when you're busy and when you're not as busy. Mm-hmm. Time management challenge I found on either end of the spectrum. It's the one constant. That's something I have to work at.
I gotcha. Me too. And then another question I like to ask is, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Wow. I would tell my younger self that it gets easier to do this work. Just don't be so hard on yourself. I used to wake up in the morning stressed with all of my clients' stress on me. People don't often realize that attorneys, we fix everybody's problems, which means they come lay them in our laps. Imagine having your own problems and then you've got maybe 100 other people's problems in your lap, right? They may have taken 50 years to mess this up. They want you to fix it by 2:30. I was really hard on myself for a long time of just, I got to make sure this person is okay. And I got to make sure. And it was just so much stress that I internalized instead of managing things the way that I've learned to manage them now, where I limit the number of people that I allow to lay their stress on me. And so it gives me grace to be able to move through their problems and solve them, but kind of more one at a time and with more care and compassion than just putting out fires. Mm-hmm. So I would have just to give yourself some grace. It gets better. You just got to figure out how to balance it.
Yeah. I like that. Yes, it gets easier. I like that. Well, I really do appreciate your time and you telling us all of these insights so we can run our businesses better. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Dorna, thanks for being a part of the podcast. If any of you need legal advice in the areas we discussed, Dorna's information is in the show notes. I will tell you, there is nothing like having a great lawyer on your side. In many cases, depending on the size of your business, you may have more than one because you want to make sure you are working with a lawyer that is an expert in the area that you need expertise. Don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on this one. Thanks for listening today. Join me on Instagram and TikTok for continued daily tips and inspiration around starting and growing your business. Both of my handles are at Become Your Own Boss Podcast. Also, take a moment to rate, share, and leave a review for the podcast. Now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.